because I want to go over to the Chris Armas thing because that was kind of crazy. It was the I don't want to mince my words too much here, but I also don't want to be too scathing because he did come back and clear things up in because it was a heat of the moment thing. But when you miss the playoffs in a league that allows 68% of the or whatever that number is of the teams to make it, and somebody asks you about what went wrong essentially, and if you're going to be back next year because you didn't do the bare minimum, and you respond the way that you did, I think it is a really, really bad look on the club and a really, really bad look on you as a person, which I know as I know Chris Armas just as a manager for Red Bull, he is not a bad he's a great guy. But it gives you that bad look for people who don't know you very well to say, oh, this guy is, he attacks the media every time he gets a little bit of heat and whatever. I'm assuming you've seen the clip and you've watched the whole thing. What are your thoughts on his response?
It's a tough situation because I feel like these guys are kind of always under the microscope. And it's like if you have a bad moment, it's gonna be publicized and it's gonna be a big deal. It's like I'm a human, he's a human. Like I have bad moments. I have moments where I definitely like if it was on camera, you'd be like, wow, what is he doing? Like this is he's like freaking out. But luckily, I'm not in the public eye, so nobody ever has to see that. In this case, as somebody who's the head coach of a professional soccer team, you are going to be under the public eye. And, obviously Chris Armas is a man that has emotions too, and he definitely let his emotions get the better of him there. And that's not to say it should happen. It shouldn't. He should be able to control them. And, I think in the future, and it's clearly not like a track record for him, right? Like
Right.
you could speak to that too. Like it's not something that happens often for him. He's not a hothead. It was just a bad moment for him. I think even Matt had said it. Like I'm looking through his thread right now, and he even said it too. He's like everybody has bad days. Like he's a good person. It's one ugly press conference, and it's a bad look. Probably doesn't help his case for sticking around, but I don't necessarily think it's a reflection of him as a bad person.
No, and that's kind of where I want to go. I know he's a good person. I know he's a good guy. I do think that like I said, he conceded a goal with 35 seconds left in the game that knocked him out of the playoffs. I'd be heated too, right? I'd be really upset if that was the case. That being said, in those moments, you have to be a bit tougher because there are times to kind of have a conversation with media when they're asking, I don't want to say inappropriate questions, but when they're asking questions that don't quite relate, right? If they started asking about what he thought about Messi's hat trick on decision day, I would, then I would have been like, yeah, of course, go out there. But they asked him about with the season being done, why you why you didn't make the playoffs, and then if you're going to come back because you were on a contract year. I know that he was feeling the feelings, right? I know he was feeling lots of big feelings there, and it was very very tough to keep his cool there. But it's not a good look. It's not a good look. But again, we know Matt. We've worked with Matt. Matt's a great guy, and Matt. There's nothing wrong with what Matt asked. Matt came in and he asked, where do you think this leaves in terms of your tenure with the club and possibly coming back? And then Armis, instead of just saying, yeah, I don't know, we're gonna have those conversations, because the comment that he made originally was, yeah, we didn't make the playoffs. Thanks for letting me know. And it was like, okay, that was a bit annoying, but yeah, you can say that. But then he takes it a step further, and when he says, "Hey, are you going to come? Do you think this has any impact on you coming back?" He then goes and attacks uh, Burgundy Wave, which is Matt Pollard's, I guess I don't actually know what the technical reporter terms are, but his outlet, and says, I'm not sure what you're going to put out there because it's always from you guys and your outlet. It's always negative. It's always poking holes in the team. It's always attacking the coach. I'm not sure what you're going to do with it. You do what you do, and I'm not sure any people read it anyway. But I don't appreciate all the negativity you've given us, and even over the last few years, right? Have fun with this one that we didn't make the playoffs, but yeah, my future with the team, we'll have discussions, blah 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 blah. There was no need for him to come out and have that interaction with him, right? Colorado is an underserved market to begin with. If you ask somebody, what all list all the MLS teams you know. Colorado doesn't even make 3% of those lists if you ask 100 people, right? Matt comes in and covers it, and Matt did a really good job of sharing all the positive articles that he's shared as well, right? Talking about how Chris is a great guy and Chris does all this, all this good stuff, and we hope he comes back as a good person, blah blah blah. Then he goes out and he attacks Matt's, journalistic integrity and goes in and has this conversation with, oh, your outlet doesn't get read anyway. Like that's not something you want to flex. You are not relevant enough to even get these guys coverage. That means you're not doing your job by being good. It's such a, like I said, the initial reaction of him saying, "Oh yeah, we didn't make the playoffs. I'm aware. Thank you." I didn't have a problem with. It was the him going at Burgundy Wave and being like, "Yeah, nobody cares about you anyway, so I don't even care why you're asking me questions." That's what bothered me.
Yeah, well, because it became it's almost like it became more personal then.
100%.
And this is now the second time we're talking about a manager who's seemingly like consistently reading into the headlines, reading into the news. It seems like they really need to just avoid it. Like just avoid it. Like honestly, I not that I don't want to compare us, right, to a head coach of a professional team, right? But I don't bother like looking at much of the comments because I know the sports community is very toxic and they don't leave nice comments. I've seen it on other people's posts. I've seen it on our posts. And you know what? For mental health's sake, it's so much better to just not read them and
Yeah.
just move on for the betterment of yourself to just not give it the time of day because it's just gonna get you upset and it's like it's not something that's worth your time.
Well, and I think the final note I'll make on this before we move on to our last topic here, we need more people asking the tough questions. I'm tired of going and listening to press conferences where the same five questions get asked. Oh, what do you think went wrong? How are you going to fix it? What do you think about this player? What do you think about that player? How do you think about the next opponent? Okay, have a good one, right? We need to start holding coaches and teams accountable if we want to be taken seriously as a league, right? And I use air quotes there because I do think that this is a serious league. Of course, that's why we cover it. But I think that there are a lot of people who are like, will look at these sorts of things and then again instantly go over and be like, oh, in England they ask him straight up why they're calling for his sacking in 4 games if he's not doing well enough, and our guys are asking him softball questions so he doesn't feel bad. Like we need people asking, and this wasn't even a tough question. This was just a realistic, hey, are you going to come back this year? Like, what does this do to your future? This wasn't a tough one of hey, you got it wrong. Explain to us your decision making because it clearly didn't work. Right. The last 5 minutes you concede a goal. What happened and explain it in detail. No, we're just asking how you see the future and you crash out at that, we've got a long way to go until the media is holding this accountable like they hold accountable the NFL or the NBA or the MLB. Those are the levels we need to reach in terms of sports journalism for the league personally. But that's just me.
Yeah, and we need to do it, but also in a respectful way too. It shouldn't be personal
Yes.
attacks and like
Yes.
really getting on somebody's case. It should be, I would say exactly as Matt did it, even though again, I agree. I don't necessarily think it was like that hard hitting of a question, but ask the hard questions in a respectful way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, you listen to any press conference in the Jets locker room, and they're a lot meaner than that.